we're going to draw a cone. A cone is kind of a combination of a triangle and a sphere. So with a sphere, it's round. It's like you have a bunch of circles of different diameters that you stacked up. They get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller going to the top. They also get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller going to the bottom. A cylinder is like a stack of the same circle over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, all up and down. And a cone, it's like you're getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, but it got stretched out. It's not as smooth and round as a half circle would be. So they're coming up. So we're going to start by drawing that kind of triangular shape. And then we're going to do a curvy line under here. I bet you can see what's coming next. We've already done some other round shapes. We have our light source. Again, we're going to use curvy lines, and the darkest part will be furthest from the sun, and the lightest will be closer. Again, I'm going to turn my paper so that my lines are going with the way my hand goes. Now, one thing that's different with this is I don't want to keep them the same length. They're going to get narrower. You can almost imagine like if you had drawn a line up. I don't want to draw the line because I don't want it to show up as a stripe. But I would just think about how if I drew a line, it would go up like that. I go to the edges. All the way up. It's very hard at the top. You sort of have to just fill it in however you can. You see I left a lot of white space between here, so I'm going to come back just a little bit and get a little bit more in there. I didn't even go to the edge here. Just fill that in. Okay. Now I'm going to do my next section. I'm going to push just a little bit harder, and by overlapping it, it will also just be getting darker. Take it all the way up. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add my darkest area. Still keeping those curvy lines. Notice I'm not just making straight lines. They're a little bit curvy. Following this curve. And then it's getting really skinny. So you can see I'm just sort of going back and forth a little bit. I don't want to go too much up and down because it looks a little bit funny, but I will go up and down right along this edge because I want this to have a crisp edge. I'm just going to make this just a line right up there, and then I can come back, put some lines going the other direction. Make sure that none of these areas are lighter. Make sure it's going from dark to light, so you don't want to leave a little light spot. Overlap a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to add, remember that cylinder, I did that very lightest one last. I do that very lightest one last, right on top, kind of smoothing and blending, a little bit like my finger does. It's a very soft pencil, so even when I do this, it leaves kind of a light, darker than some pencils. Some pencils, when you do it, be super light. All the way up to the top. Now the sun's here. I'm going to make just a little bit more right here that I won't take all the way. And especially here, look at how I'm making sure they curve. Along the edges, it's especially good to get those curvy lines in. There we go. Now, back to that messy finger. Get that, and I'm going to go right along with my curve. I'm going to be careful not to push too hard here. In fact, I'll just get a cleaner finger and go this way to get that so I don't get it too dark. And then in here, whoa, you can even see, when I do that, it smudges it. Just a teeny bit there. I feel like it's too stripy right here, so I'm going to come back and push lightly, and I'm going to get some more curvy lines in there. And sometimes just on the very top, I just leave a few not too smudged in, just to remind everybody's eyes, look, this is curving. And there we go. We have a cone.